My friendships and community and circle of queer women, or lesbian and bi and trans women over time. Just really just getting to know people, friends of friends, meeting new people, as well as just going to different activities, events, functions, activities, advocacy things in the community. I got a chance to really meet people, have conversations, really develop relationships with people, and yes, at parties too, especially parties that focused on bringing LBT women together, queer women together, and so those are very intentional spaces because vast majority of gay spaces are male. So when when a space or a party or an activity or whatever it is women, that is a space that is curated. That is very intentional. And so the people who come to a space like that are people clearly who want to be there, for that reason. So I developed these relationships just over time, just being very active and engaged in the community and just wanting to really be a part of that. And especially when I first started being in the community, I was also looking for a community. It was my first time I was born and raised in Chicago, but after graduating college and then teaching abroad for a year and coming back to Chicago, it was really my first time living as an adult in Chicago. Wow. Because when I left Chicago, it was to go to college. And so I didn't know where the gay spots were until, my friend Maria showed me, or my ex-girlfriend, my girlfriend at the time, who's now my ex, I didn't know these spots and I didn't have these relationships or friendships or anything. So it just took just being active in the community and going to things and getting to know people. And so that's what happened. In terms of some of the things that are missing in the community, wow, that's a big question, because there are a lot of things that I would say are missing, but it's hard. But I would like to see more restaurants and venues, for women. There used to actually be several lesbian spots. There aren't anymore. And I realized that, not even just with queer women, but women in general, we can sometimes socialize very differently from a lot of men. We tend not to drink as much. And, contrary to the stereotype of, well-to-do gay people, a lot of gay and other queer people, regardless of race, are not disproportionately wealthy. But especially when you're talking about women, we tend to, our incomes tend to be much more encumbered. We tend to have to take care of, even if we don't have children of our own, we tend to be the ones more likely to take care of our parents and, ill people in our family and, and other kinds of things. So I think that there are a lot of things that in the long term make it very difficult to focus on gay women. There are things that make it difficult to stay open, for a long period of time. So I understand it, but I still wish there were spots. And not just bars, because for a lot of queer women, so for me, I like to go and have a drink and stuff, but every once in a while. But my coming out did not revolve around bars and dives. I went every once in a while to support, or if there was a party and there was a good DJ that night and I knew the music was going to be off the chain, I would go every once in a while. This is not true for all women, but for many women, when we get into relationships, we do tend to retreat a little more and not go out, as much. Sometimes I don't always want to talk either, because the other thing is the lesbian stereotype is that sometimes if we have one more conversation, sometimes because sometimes I don't want to talk. I think sometimes we can talk ourselves to death. And so I love conversation, I love engagement, but there are other things that I like doing that don't always revolve talking ad nauseum about something.
Thank you so much for talking to me right now.
That's not right. But there are times really when, especially because of what I do for a living, there are times when I really enjoy the quiet. I want to go for a walk. I do want to meditate. I want to perhaps engage in an activity with people. Sometimes I just want to be alone with other people. right?
Yeah.
So I think
totally
it's
hear
that too.
you. Yeah, I love that.
Identity. Things that a lot of people like to do, activities, fun stuff, conversations, interests that really bring people together. You know, I don't know exactly how one would go about doing that, but I do think that it would be healthy, you know, queer men and women, you know, to have opportunities to converse and mingle and get to know each other and engage in different ways and that kind of thing. A lot of the spaces are very segregated. I mean, one of the things that I appreciate about She 100, for example, is that it's not She 100 is we're a very engaged group of queer women, who create community among ourselves, and we engage other queer women, right? But we also fund and support through our dues, our members' dues, a lot of activities and causes and initiatives that that members care about and that present for organizations and initiatives that are doing a lot of things in the queer community in Chicago. And so one of the other things that is important to us, at She 100 is to really amplify the voices of queer women in Chicago, because we are very present and we are engaged in doing the work. We're often just not very visible, in certain spaces, and so how do we elevate ourselves and each other? How do we show up in mass, to support, whether it's in a particular event, with showing up, like let's buy some tickets, let's show up, or let's, promote each other's work and show up and help volunteer, whatever the issue is. So I think that's something that is helpful, and it's something that I like being a part of as well. I think that's probably true for some women. They who just say, it's mostly male oriented, so it might not be their cup of tea. But I would say, in the case of Equality Illinois, what I do appreciate is that they recognize that is how it's been for a while, and they are taking some really active steps to change that. In the last event I attended, I saw more women there than I had been used to seeing. So really, I like the direction they're moving in. But I do think not only with historically that organization, but others that tend to draw, definitely mostly men. This is something that I want to attend, or I want to support. There aren't enough women here. I want to be there, and then what I would probably do is invite other women to join me, women who I think would be interested, and if it's something that, especially an issue or some kind of activity that is really important, and where we should bring our voices to bear, our support to bear in some kind of way. I do think that there's something significant and powerful about not just saying, oh, this space doesn't have us in it, but inserting yourself in the space. In doing that, I think that that can be very meaningful and powerful.